talking about what is Christ consciousness. What is it exactly?
You have consciousness, you got Christ conscious. But with the word Christ, what does that add on to the consciousness?
And how does that relate to Jesus?
Yeah.
And what's the difference between that and Jesus?
Yeah.
So I think it is a super tangled thing. From what my context has been shown, there is the soul. So that we're talking about this space, and then we're talking about what is in the space. Or we're talking about the I am presence. Yoga calls this the Purusha, or the soul, the Atma, the Jiva Atma, the individual essence of the God light, or the awareness and intelligence from which all things come. Also, coming from that is the space to which all things come into. And so that aspect is called Prakriti, and it's literally matter, from what I understand. And also from what I understand, it's ether. So they have, how is space?
Matter is ether?
There's probably a clarification there, but if so, it's like, here's earth,
Yeah.
wind, fire, water. The thing that's binding them is ether. Earth, fire, water, air, and this ether, it's space, and it's called Akash.
A coat? You know what?
A coat?
Yeah, like a coat. It's a layer.
A wrapping around a coat, you mean? Or a coating?
Yeah, the layer, I guess, to hold them together, to make them even exist.
Yeah.
Because those four wouldn't exist if something wasn't layering them or holding them up.
Right, well, that's an interesting idea. It's like, would they...
It's like gravity. Well, you believe it's gravity, but go on.
Well, I think that's an interesting thing to look at. Also, it's number 5. It makes it the 5th element.
Wow.
And so there's probably something with like the actual body and then the actual hand. But 5 is a repeating number in matter, for sure.
Hand.
Right?
That's crazy, 5.
And then something here probably. You seen all Da Vinci stuff? There's this dude on Instagram, Robert Grant, and he does these amazing breakdowns of how mathematics manifests as geometry in a particular way. But yeah, so Christ, conscious of what? There is consciousness, yes.
Yeah.
And so, Ra, the teachings of Ra, the Law of One, the audio book and the book, the blue book.
The sun god?
Yeah, but you know about the blue book that says Ra Sessions, the Law of One on it? The teachings of Ra.
I've seen that.
It's a book from the 70s, and it's people channeled Ra through this like PhDs doing shit really proper. And basically this intelligence calls itself, I am Ra, I'm a 6th density social complex. I am that which was previously in a time that you call ancient Egypt called Ra, but we are also da-da-da-da-da. And it's saying some wild stuff. It's talking about where the people on Earth come from in the star systems. It's talking about what a civilization looks like based on their emotional development at any particular level, and why that's related to the chakras, or the energy centers, or the rays as they're spinning wheels of light. And it says most of humanity right now is in this thing called the 3rd ray, and understood in a yogic context that would be Manipura, or the yellow chakra. And we're literally in that age also where we're literally individually identified. And yet there was this person named Jesus, and Jesus was literally like other people who taught spirituality. So what's spirituality? 4th density, or green ray, anahata, the heart, emotional intelligence, they say, is literally the evolution of humanity.
It's the next from the 3rd.
It's from the 3rd to the 4th.
So who's on 4th? Christ energy?
Who's on 1st? Who's on 2nd? Yeah, no, why? When? No, he's on 3rd. Wait, was that? Sorry, what was the question?
So you're saying like we're in the 3rd phase, and then the
So
4th
the
one
thing.
is where we want to get to evolve, or just the evolution entirely?
I don't think I know that, but I think there's this, because the idea is 4th density is love and loveliness and unity consciousness. So it's literally the awareness. If you think about it, it's like Muladhara, reproductive organs.
You're talking about your chakras, like energy points.
Yes. But it's also manifests as social identity, as literal collective consciousness, and where people rest, where people exist from. You ever meet somebody?
So as a collective, we're all in 3rd. There's no one can be on 4th.
Oriented in 3rd, but 4th density is lovingness. So there's a lot of people living in their heart right now. You ever meet some spiritual folks who are super open in their heart, but then they were a little too crazy in their head, and then they're actually twisted in their lower part. And it manifests as all kinds of characters and in ego identities, but it's the twisting, and somebody who's really just centered is balanced. And equilibrium and not.
So where does yoga comes in this?
Yoga's idea is mitigating or minimizing the oscillation, and so becoming more that which you are and less of the noise that comes from, it's yoga idea is union, so it's like merging with, and so kind of alignment is the idea.
Makes sense.
But so the idea, at least to point at the difference between Christ and Christ consciousness, from what Rocco understands, there's an actual prism through which the unmanifested I am presence, call it the Father, call it God, call it Brahma, call it Purusha Artha. It is the light of the soul, it's the light of consciousness, the light of the awareness. It's moving into manifested reality. I'm looking out of a body in eyeballs, the top of a skull, into space. Where the fuck does that come from? And if you trace it back, it goes to a place that's not in space. You can see yourself from a place that's not in space. And so the awareness itself is not in space, but it's also aware space. So where does that go? And Bentinho Massaro is really good at describing where this goes and how it goes there. But the idea right now, in terms of the evolution of humanity, is that
it's like a parallel reality? Because you're switching.
Right, but it's also like
or is Rocco looking down from space at you?
But maybe instead of seeing it as a parallel reality, see it as like a refined reality. Or
Reflect.
A more subtle reality. Yes, so each reality reflects the core essence of what is really most specifically fine-tuned in like a...
so like it's like you're kind of doing this and you boing!
So it's like a light moving through a sheath here and it goes and there's a light moving through another thing here and then it goes zoom and then it goes zoom and it's getting through these sheaths in yoga. They call them the koshas, and the energy body and then the
I've seen it in a
psychic body. You've seen those layers.
It looks like the rainbow. Paintings.
Yes, the rainbow is this repeating number 7 thing that keeps happening. So the actual spectrum of light has a quantum structure to it. And so that say that Yeshua, this dude that's really lived a life, his name was Yeshua or Yahushua HaMashiach. I'm not exactly sure, but it's the being referred to as Jesus. Jesus seems to be an actual, like, not what he was, and Rome seemed to combine him with Zeus and Jupiter and create a kind of spiritual superhero called Jesus to lead this kind of new revolution of what Rome was and turn it into the Vatican. I don't know, it's some bizarre shit, but it does lead me to the whole what is the Illuminati question. Because that's some wild shit of like the people who killed this dude named Jesus are the people who started the religion about him after he was dead because they saw that it was picking up momentum? What?
Oh my God.
But if you go back to who he was, he taught this thing called enlightenment. A dude named Siddhartha Gautama did the same thing, turned into Buddhism. Yeshua HaMashiach, Yahushua HaMashiach, whatever this amazing being's name was, exactly. Yeshua and Gautama taught this technique system. A dude named Lao Tzu figured a different one out. Patanjali, this dude refined something that had been around because these yogis they'd modeled this thing called meditation. And so people wanted to be, how do you be meditative? Yeshua was teaching how to be in your heart. So the idea, at least that I've understood as this one, is that Buddhism is almost like a mental enlightenment, whereas the heart path of Christ is this heart enlightenment. And so Yeshua's real teaching was literally to live from your heart as if your brother was you, as if you are your family, as if there's no separation between humanity, and give to the poor person, and then literally hang out with the person with the disease, and literally give his life to this thing and literally die on this cross. And there's the metaphor of that actually being the body. And whether or not it happened, it's the metaphor even itself that points at a type of alchemy. And so that's what Yeshua taught, and it was 4th density and ascension, basically. Whereas Gautama taught, or Siddhartha, or Buddhism teaches a more towards 5th density ascension. 5th density being wisdom. So there's this thing that
Where's this wisdom? Where's the root of it? Is it drew soulfully?
Well,
that's the root. Is from spirit.
But check this.
Or what he's taught on earth during that time, because he could have been.
Right, but so what is this being enlightened?
What's being enlightened?
We'll compress it at least right now. That's a long question, but yeah. You want to put words to it?
No, go on.
So it's to be aware of that which is. How aware you are is how in the light of awareness of what is you are. But what if there are more refined, subtle things to be aware of? You ever been on a good amount of mushrooms and see some shit and absolutely know that it was part of truth, but you just weren't in the frequency to see that radio signal from your normal perspective? So that's to be conscious of a different frequency. So the idea, from what I understand, is that we're all evolving collectively, and it doesn't mean that.
Is there anything above love? If fourth is here, love.
Yeah, I think it
what's
starts
next one?
integrating. It starts integrating and becoming a higher harmonic. I don't want to act like I have the ability to articulate exactly what that is.
No, I mean, just say it. I feel like you're channeling it. So I was like, whatever you're gonna say,
Okay.
it's just, it is.
Okay, word.
Yeah.
So a complete human is a sexual human,
Mhm.
has visual sight, ajna. This is the indigo frequency. This is about seeing the future. This is about seeing the new earth. This is about somebody who is connected to the actual vision of the Akashic field's highest timeline. So an actual enlightened human is just a full open prism for the light of one beam to turn into a rainbow through.
Transparent.
And the more
Very
transparent you
Mhm.
are, the more soluble you are in the light, and it just moves
True.
through you. And it's probably gonna end up looking pretty fun because you'll probably be fully utilized by the divine, fully activated, fully turned in, or as Esther Hicks allows it to come through her, tapped in, tuned in, turned on in the vortex of creation itself. Who is a Bentinho or a Sadhguru or a Kanye or a Andre or a Pharrell or a whoever that is other than a vortex of creative energy. And so it's like, well, what are you creating? And then what are you exactly oriented to is kind of your emphasis in this particular timeline, this particular incarnation. You have a theme, you have a motif you're meant to embody for your own particular soul development. That is your karmic structure. Your karmic structure is your imprint on the Akashic field. The Akashic field is what you keep coming back in. You come back in and you already had an avatar. That avatar had tokens and coins and penalties. And all of those times that you affected space, you basically got space on you, and that space has it feels like momentum. It feels like momentum into this life. That's what karma is. Momentum into this life. So it's momentum that the I am presence or the Purusha soul moves into Prakriti matter with. That momentum is karma. It is the karma of your imprint on the Akashic field itself. So it's like you can log in from a new character or a new account, but it's still the same IP address. You're still the same one that you are, even though we are fragmented off of the all one. It's like, yeah, but you're still you. And so, yellow ray, fourth ray, blue ray, indigo, violet or something, whatever that purple is.
That's it.
So this is just being a full portal and fully open, and then soul star, and then also earth star, connecting you to Gaia. I think that literally is about connecting to your primal sexuality, your individual, your primal safety and primalism, and your sexuality and your survival and your creativity, and then your individuality, your uniqueness, your social identity, your emotional truth, your open-heartedness, your vulnerability, your honesty as a heart, as an emotional creature, your ability to speak that and not be inhibited by fear, but always permitted and in your truth, vocally vibrating and not limited in your biology as a vocal instrument for the vibrating literally what is most true. To me, individually, as a person connected to emotion, also connected to vision, connected to insight of what is most true, of that which has been learned and accumulated as knowledge of what is, but really there's no, so it's like Yeshua and these different teachers, they're talking about space sometimes, but how to be in space, but they're mostly talking about how to be that I am that we truly are, and not misidentify within matter, not misidentify within space and time, but identify with the divine. And so that whole activated instrument is a full light body, and then the Taoists call rainbow body. Yogis call this thing called samadhi. But as Ra talks about, it's about moving through the densities of awareness, and I think seventh density would like to be enlightening every chakra. And so a fully embodied person is like a unique, special individual. I think Pops basically graduated a lot of Manipur and Yellow Ray. Same thing with Andre. It's like these folks have become very unique social individuals but they necessarily haven't had an emotional, like, fourth density unity consciousness experience.
Explosion.
Right. So the crystal
Right.
prism through which the light is traveling through, manifesting through the heart and the entire electrolyte body.
But some have it earlier than some people.
Yeah, and that's part of their karma.
Right.
And that's also part of their density. And the
It's
density.
part of their karma. If they have like a heart explosion at 10 years old, 9 years old, they start.
Yeah.
Is that too late or too early?
Well, I think it's all relative because time's all relative. Somebody might have it as 90-year-old and it's actually perfect time because they needed their granddaughter to be 20 years old, and then so the granddaughter and the daughter have it at the same moment. It's not about time.
Wow.
It's
I
about
feel like there's even timelines going kind of right here. Timelines going.
Yep.
And then
so
when the timeline
everything-
ends, it like goes, and then what do? Like it's inhale and exhale back in. You just like come back in.
Maybe reset.
Boom, 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 reset.
That's an interesting visual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe like DMT says, like.
It's on both sides.
And then.
Wow. Good.
Which is what Aya shows too,
Okay.
where we seep in to this. We're seeping in like nectar, like the consciousness, the awareness, the whole life experience. Like we're putting on.
I only got
the
2
love.
seconds of it, but I'm
Right,
got it.
right.
It disappeared.
Right.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, you try to come back as much as you can,
Yeah.
because it's always there. And I experience it as the word epiphany. It's the energy of the word epiphany, not the word, but the like experience of having an epiphany. Like.
But it's a long one. Long.
A reoccurring one, or one that stabilizes as the perfected, insanely brilliant amazingness of what's actually happening. Molecules, karma, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then that's called bliss. That's called ananda. And so the yoga, they say that that's something you could like want to live in a pure state of ananda.
Yeah. But you don't feel it all the time though.
And then they have something like santosha, which is more about, it's called contentment. So it's a different frequency. And so some are like, yeah, wanting wisdom is this fifth density. I don't know if it exactly applies to the chakras, but like this fifth density thing is about wisdom, fourth density is about love, and then sixth density I think is, I don't know, seventh density feels it's truth. And yeah, I basically want to look at what Ra says about it because I feel like I've expressed around what my sense is of it. But back to the crystal thing. The crystal is, yes, the heart in specific, but it feels like the actual lovingness of the creator. And the crystal prism through which we're coming through is a chrism, is a Christ prism. It's a crystal, it's a Christ. Feels like the same exact thing, which is Krishna. And it's an actual Christos, illuminescent, electromagnetic spark of life. And to point at that is to point at from which we come, which is the Father. And so to be pointed at that with your mind, and yoga, they say your soul is at the center of your solar plexus. It's called the Atma, the Jiva Atma. And so
Do you relate all your energy points, chakra points to crystals?
I think they're like spinning wheels of light, and so I think I feel in a sense that they have actual structure to them electromagnetically. If there was a density of sight available to me to actually see it, I feel like it is actually a crystal prismatic moving toroidal field.
Yeah, I feel like with crystals, vibration. So, also too, like vibrating, like the pin I was talking about, it could be right here, and then it goes like, you know, when it goes stiff. So each crystal looks different. Yeah, probably the other crystal at the top gonna be like nothing, or you won't see it.
Different containers for different frequencies.
Yeah.
Different conduits resonate differently.
What do you mean by that?
So like you say, maybe if you were to like tune into the frequency of your favorite key.
Okay.
And then I tune into my favorite key.
Okay.
Maybe they harmonize, maybe they don't. Maybe it's fun for us to harmonize. Maybe we don't want to harmonize, we actually need to leave the room because you want to do your note and I want to do my note.
Okay.
But maybe both of us doing our note leads to our happiness and our fulfillment. And so when it works that it happens to be together, it's cool, we get to share that. But it's literally perfect, cosmically, divinely, that we resonate differently because what you like allows you to be unique and a reflection of the divine creator in a specific way.
Yeah.
And that's also perfect for your mission, your motif, your exploration here. And so the same for me. And so like we're actual. I had this beautiful. I was talking to Connie about it.
Shout out to Connie.
Shout out to Connie Ann. And Saucy Downs. And it's like the fastest way to understand what Christ is literally imagine a bunch of people walking down a sidewalk. Fat people, tall people, short people, round people, square people, all colored people. And now picture everyone as a crystal.
No color, no nothing, no
the
shape.
crystal that looks like them,
Crystal.
or that feels like them. It's got some onyx, got some, tourmalines, got some, rubies and diamonds, and some quartz. All shapes, all sizes, all colors, all possible variations of the Creator, of the Divine. And picture light moving out of them and into them from the universe, from others, but then out of them because it's their soul, and into them because they're taking information from the environment, but out of them because they're conscious and they're living, and they're emanating like solar energy, but they're also lunar energy coming and intaking, and they're affecting them emotionally, but they have this solar essence. They have an energetic quality. Their soul is like a starlight.
They're getting fed the same material light.
Everyone's fed the same material light.
It's the same company.
It's the same.
But the company, each once it like gives out, that's when each of those crystals, they different, it look different, but they're just getting the same
They get
material.
their outfit. They get their own outfit.
It's like it's the same Edison company,
Yeah, but everybody changes how the medicine is from its pure state to how it gets to the others. And that's an art.
So the material that they're getting, it's the same material, but the
Same
material they're
essence.
getting, but it goes out through them too, so it's gonna be bouncing off of other people.
So I'll call it this: same Purusha.
Yeah. Same Purusha.
Same Purusha. Same
Purusha.
soul light.
Yeah.
Different dharmas, or purposes or ways that we embody that soul light out into the world.
How we absorb it or how we shoot it out?
Both. Because it's like a crystal prism. If you're literally let's do this. Picture me I didn't bring my fanny pack with the crystals. Picture me as a quartz. Picture me as a quartz.
Okay.
With a little bit of tourmaline pockets.
Gotcha.
And then some like sherbet, like orange things. And so now you tell me what crystal you want me to visualize you as. I kind of feel like I know what you're going to say. Tiger eye. Something's going to happen with tiger eye.
It's tiger eye. I like tiger eye.
And then any other things happening? Straight, pure tiger eye? What about the air? I feel like some aqua, like a...
I like what? I see some red tiger eye. You seen that?
Wow, red
They
tiger.
have red tiger eye.
Red tiger eye.
Yeah.
What about
They
some
have yellow
amethyst?
tiger eye. They have blue tiger eye. I've seen that.
What about some amethyst somewhere? No amethyst?
Yeah, I love amethyst.
Anything else? I feel like something blue.
I feel like amethyst.
You feel
But
like,
I love actually.
So maybe you're
the
an
first crystal I
amethyst.
came up with was blue. Period.
Oh.
So it was blue.
So
Labradorite. It's like
lapis
greenish.
lazuli. Lapis
Oh.
lazuli is pure blue.
Yeah, that's pure blue.
Okay, so now with some tiger eye and some amethyst.
Woo!
Okay. Okay, so I see you. Okay, so I see you.
That was good.
I see.
Alright,
Okay,
that
so
was
now
good.
see me.
Okay.
See me, yeah?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. So same Purusha light,
Yeah.
same presence.
Yeah.
It's like what's looking at
It's
me is looking at you.
you feel like you said it. You said quartz, clear quartz.
And so awareness is moving through the Rocco crystal. Awareness is moving through the Alpha crystal. The way that you embody your thing that's powering you is how you show up in life and how you deal with what you got and how you alchemize what you got. So you're literally the membrane through which what doesn't exist becomes existence, and through which is also you're influenced by what exists. You're intaking information. You watch movies. You have family.
Yeah.
You get to out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You get to them through the body, but you get to where you come from through your soul, or you get to your ideas and imagination through your mind, within you. But then you get through other stuff throughout the world, and then you have emotions, and you're like, oh, I know myself because I've lived life, and I know how this membrane behaves. I get about I learned my astrology. I learned more about how this conduit behaves and interacts in life.
You learned? Wait, what did you say?
No, like you and me, like you as I've known you, you've studied some astrology and been like, okay, this affects how I
have a
understand
love for
myself.
it for sure.
This affects how I understand myself. Right?
This affects how I understand.
Like astrology assists me in understanding myself or yourself.
Yeah.
Astrology helps us have awareness of things that we might be tending to do.
Yeah, personality wise.
So it helps us understand how we basically got at the time of breath, at the time of our first breath in this body. We came into this body, the sun was there, the moon was there.
Whoa. At what angle though?
At all the angles affect how literally our starlight is compressing to carbon.
Every time I thought about, I see the map, obviously. I see the astrology map. I always see it how it's pinpoints, and it's usually like points at the end of it. But I never actually visualize it as being light. Like light beaming down. Because it's straight. So you're beaming like June 20, boom. July 22, boom. Actually, your number is 722. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I was like, bro, did you pick that?
I mean, that's a part of the mystery. It's like...
That's insane. I was like, bro, that's... I like, when I was texting, I was like, 722. I was like, that's your birthday. Like, how did you get this number?
It's a wild one. But it only adds to the auspiciousness. And what's that mean for Rocco as a human identity? That means God. That means the universe is somehow orchestrating something. That means that I'm awakening. I'm like spiritually awakening. Okay, but you didn't do that shit when you were 10. It was like, yeah, but God did all of it. God's still doing it, but we're remembering it as it's happening, learning more about it as it's happening. Realizing our part that we are in it. At some moments we break through and see all of it, and then we go back to the other side of the veil. Like, wait, what again? And life, scrunches up, and so this development through the actual energy body is this development through the densities, and this thing called Christ is a crystal prism, and to be aware of that is to be aware of how we're connected to God, and it ends time. Because we stop living in time, we start living in the light that we come from.
Wait, so that means light has, it feels like light has its own personality, dude.
For sure.
And its personality is what you live in certain timelines, right? Different angles too. That's how it gives you your personality. Because if it's different angles, I don't know, just like the Milky Way shooting down somewhere, stars, it's like far out.
That's where the
it can go really far.
That's where the whole starseed indigo thing comes from.
Wow.
Lyra, Pleiadian.
That's crazy.
That's really, it really affects how I experience my part, my position, my angle. My angle amongst the other angels that we are all earth angles of in society as this like millennial generation. Like, wow, their vibes I rock with. I don't want to rock with those vibes. I'm like, okay, those vibes are cool. It's like walking into the cafeteria at middle school. It's like, who do I belong with? Who's like me? I think I can hang out with them. I'm gonna go over there. Hey guys, can I stay there? And I feel like that's what this whole kind of collective awakening is happening like right now. It's like we're all remembering, like yeah. It's like, wait, what? Oh, right.
Like it's all happening like all at the same time, rather than just like very patient. Now it's like happening fast. I feel that.
Faster,
I feel that.
Like
the downloads, all the channeling, and yeah. Like I'm even more appreciative of like even the downloads or the time of remembering right now, because of the abilities that you gain, and the abilities to like even doing Reiki or helping to channel someone they've known in the internet, You know.
The Pokemon grows.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Alright.
Or yeah.
Alright, I feel like that's a good update.
That's good.